When I was in my competition prep, I was experiencing, like, I was just going hypo a few nights, obviously from being on low carbs, and I don't know if I can, like, obviously taking substances as well.
No, we're going to talk about it today.
Okay, yeah. And obviously taking PEDs. And I ended up being diagnosed with hypothyroidism while I was in my competition prep. And at the time I thought
what does that mean for someone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so it's just when your metabolism, it honestly just can't slow down. Yeah. So at nights I would notice I was getting racing heart palpitations. I remember a few times I would actually check my Apple Watch. My heart rate would be 140 for like 2-3 minutes while I'm literally trying to sleep. And then I would obviously go into that hypo state. But then what comes with that is anxiety, because you're like, what is happening to me? That I had been medicated. I had gotten over it, gaining weight as well, helped after the competition itself. But then a few months later, I'm getting these heart palpitations again. But then I'm having blood tests that are saying, well, your thyroid's normal. And then I'm like, well, if my thyroid's normal, I've gained weight, what the fuck's wrong with me? Because I don't feel right. And a few times at night, I would go into that state where I was like, okay, I'm not going hypo because I've eaten enough. I don't have hypothyroidism, but I'm getting a stabbing pain in my chest right now. I'm 21. Surely I'm not having a heart attack. But I live alone. What do I stay in my room and wait another hour and see what happens? Like, fuck no. So I've called the ambulance probably like 3 times over the last like 3 months, thinking I was having a heart attack, because it's not a nice feeling. And anyways, they have diagnosed me with having pericarditis, which is now under control, obviously being medicated. But it's just a very eye-opening thing to realize, like, health is wealth. Like, if you don't have your health, 100%. You have nothing.
But I think your story though, like, because I want to touch on PEDs, because it's obviously, even in the last few years, it's become so much more rampantly used, in particular with young women. Like, do you feel that, like, talk to me about, like, in the competition space and things like that, like, from your observation, like, what percentage these days of girls out there are kind of using this stuff?
A lot more than you think.
Yeah.
Most of your social media influencers that girls look up to, I don't want to sit here and say I can assure you they're taking something.
Of course, yeah.
But more than likely. It may not be anything drastic. I think that's why people just aren't educated around PEDs. You say to someone, yeah, I've taken performance enhancing drugs. To someone who doesn't go to the gym, they're like, what the fuck?
What does that mean?
Yeah, they don't know. They think to the greatest extent. It can be something very minor. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but yeah, a lot more than what people think would be utilizing something.
Why have you chosen? Because I think one of the things that I love about you is that, like, so many people in the industry, it's like they still try to keep it taboo. They don't want to talk about it. You just been like, oh, fuck yeah, I've used this and that. Like, why have you chosen just to be authentic?
That honestly, it's just who I am. I am like, I can't lie about it. I can't. I wish I didn't start as young as I did. But the reason I had, and I think where it's, if someone was like choosing whether they should or they shouldn't, you do need to ask yourself some questions. I think you need to have a certain amount of training history.
What would, like, when did you first start? 19, 20?
I was 18.
18.
Yes. Okay. Which, looking back on, I was very young, and it's not something I would tell someone else to do. But again, if I hadn't have done that, and again, at the time it was only very minor, it wasn't something crazy, but if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be where I was and had these realizations. So I had already had training, like, I started training in the gym, like, properly. Like, my parents had competed, I had been around competitors. Okay. So it wasn't like I randomly got into the space at 18 and was like, yep, let me take drugs. Yeah. No, I had been around it. I had done building phases. I had the education, and my coach at the time felt like I was fine to take it too. So that's why, to me, it wasn't a big deal. But I remember when I started as well, I could not tell a female that I was doing this or in the space. The people who I'd ask about it was like my male friends that were competing. Like, it wasn't a female thing. But again, then because you're talking to males about it, you're getting male advice. You're not getting this female topic. So I guess why I'm so open about it is because I wish I had a female to talk to when I was 18 to tell me hey, maybe wait a few years or.
100%, because I think like, you know, male and female biology is obviously slightly different, right? So I think, you know, a bloke coming in at it and maybe they've used some stuff themselves before, how their bodies reacted, they're maybe not looking at it through a women's lens.
Fuck no way. And they don't care either.
Yeah.
Like males do not care. They have such a hard approach. It's like, these side effects are irreversible. So I'm very lucky nothing has ever happened to me. But what about the next female who's 18 and has no one to speak to and has been given wrong advice? Like I am lucky that the people who I have around me are actually supportive, they care and they're knowledgeable. But that's not the case for everyone.